So what y'all gonna do now is hop into this time machine with a pimp, man. We gonna travel back to the year 2009, and then we gonna take it to the Lone Star State, Texas, to the city of Dallas, man. So buckle on up, cause it's gonna be a real pimpish ride. You dig? Hey, man, my history ain't no mystery. So let's get into it. But first, wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Let's go.
But you want all this pimping you can't afford. Perform like a punk, but wanna win his reward. Some suckers give you points, but bitch, you never scored. If you ain't paying pimping, then bitch, you getting ignored. Okay, I'm so sick of these.
So the year is 2009, man, and Freeze is in the middle of a bad run. Shit just ain't going good for a pimp, man. And I started leaking in Vegas. And then I made my way down to Miami, trying to come up in Miami. But I didn't come up in Miami, and I stayed leaking in Miami, right? So this cat that I was partners with at the time, you know, he was doing cool in Miami, but then, you know, he lost his peoples. They blow up on him. So now we both leaking together, right? So we got just enough money to catch a Greyhound ticket from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to Los Angeles, California. So this is what the plan is. So he and I, we jump on the bus together, man. It's rough. We get on the bus. We probably got about, I can't remember exactly, but probably less than $50 between the both of us, right? So, but we have resources though. So that's the good thing. We got certain resources to where, you know, wherever we end up going, we gonna be able to get a room, and we gonna be straight, right? And once we get there and get a room, then we'll be able to get food and all that, right? In spite of not having no money with these resources, right? So the original plan is to go to LA, but along the bus ride from Fort Lauderdale, you know, we looking at you know, at the time it was MySpace still. You know, Facebook wasn't really as dominant as it is now. MySpace was still kind of strong at this time. So we looking at MySpace, and, you know, it was a website back then called It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp.com. We looking on there, and then, you know, other, you know, social media advents that, you know, we would connect with the game on. And we hearing a lot of good things about Dallas. So and we have to pass through Dallas. Right, so as we continue on, we hearing more and more good things about Dallas. Then we both decide to get off the bus and stay in Dallas. So this is what we do, right? So we get to Dallas, we get off the bus, we stay there. Like I said, we both leaking, but we managed to get a room. And when we get a room, see, this is the beautiful thing about being tied in the game, man. It's a network, and you know, we call some ism up, and we like, yeah, man, we around this Dallas, man. And, you know, I didn't smoke weed at the time, but my partner who I was with, he did. And a lot of times this is how you tie in with people in the game, right? So we call some veteran ism up, and we like, yeah, man, we around this Dallas, man. Who around here? Oh, you know, such and such and such and such is around there. So they link us up with K Marye. Shout out to K Marye. You know, everybody in the game knew K Marye, man. Back at this time, it would be hard to believe that you was an active P in 2009, no matter what part of the country, part of the world, whatever, and you didn't know K Marye, man. He was just one of them young cats, man, that had been around, and everybody, you know, that kind of looked out for him and helped him along, and everybody knew him, right? So they link us up. Now, I had knew about K Marye through Sinful, because Sinful was cool with K Marye. But this is my first time meeting K Marye in the flesh. So they linked the ism from out of town that we connected us with K Marye. So K Marye pull up to the room. We staying at the Spring Hill Suites in downtown Dallas, right? They pull up, it's K Marye and it's Super the P. Shout out to Super the P, right? Out that Dago. So they pull up, man, You know, they you know, connect my partner with the trees and everything like that. Everything going smooth, right? So once we get with K Marie, we good, because K Marie know everybody in the town. So through K Marie, we also link up with a cat named Trip. Shout out to Trip, man. I hope wherever Trip is, I hope he doing good, man, because Trip was a good dude. He was a solid dude, man. He really rolled out the red carpet for us in that Dallas, right? So once we linked up with Trip through K Marie, we was real good. You know what I mean? Trip was doing cool. You know, he had him a solid little white girl that was really socking it to his pocket like a skyrocket. You know, he was doing good at the time. You know, so like I said, me and my partner, we fresh in the town, we leaking, right? So through Trip, you know, Trip got the transportation. So we riding around with Trip, man. Trip take us to Mayhem. Now, Mayhem is a blade that is no longer active as far as I know. Hasn't been active for a very long time, but back then, hey, Mayhem was looking like Fig, boy, in that Dallas, man, on the north side of Dallas, man. Mayhem, it was a little small residential street, man, but that little street used to have so many 304s on it, man. It was so active. You know, it was a pimp's playground to go over there and campaign, right? So we start going over there with Trip. We start going to Northwest Highway. It's another blade, I can't remember the name of it, not too far from Northwest Highway, man. Harry Hines wasn't even active at this time. As far as I knew, when I was around there, wasn't nobody really messing with Harry Hines at the time. Harry Hines at the time, as far as I knew, it was like old and forgotten. Of course, naturally, they end up waking it back up later on, but I think they had, like, back then or some time before then, they had like barricaded it. They shut it down basically. So Harry Hines was long and forgotten at this time, and it was all about Mayhem and this other blade, I want to say on the west side of Dallas. I can't remember the name of it, right? But it was a Valero everybody used to pull up at on that particular blade. I know it's not too far from Northwest Highway, right? So, you know, we end up migrating from the Spring Hill Suites downtown Dallas to the Budget Suites off of Northwest Highway, right? So we go over there, me and my partner, we staying there, and you know, we campaigning on MySpace, and back then it was a thing called Moco Space that a lot of y'all probably don't remember. You know, if you was of age at the time, at least a teenager on up, man, you know, you remember Moco Space back in the 2000s, man. So yeah, we was on Moco Space campaigning, we was on MySpace campaigning, and Trip ended up knocking something, right? And then I want to say K Marie ended up knocking a broad too, right? So they end up knocking, and then my partner, who I'm staying at the Budget Suites with, he ended up coming up on a nice little red bone off of Moco Space, right? So now everybody done came up this in my immediate circle except for Freeze, right? So you know that's gonna fire me up. You know I can't be the only one not coming up around here, as much pimping as I know I got with me, right? So what I start doing is walking distance from the Budget Suites was DG's, Dallas Gentlemen's Club. So what I start doing is I would walk from the Budget Suites to Dallas Gentlemen's Club. It's probably not even less than a 10-minute walk, right? Probably maybe 5 minutes. You know, it's right down the street. So, you know, I would go to DG's and campaign. Now, the first night I went up in there, mind you, like I said, Freeze was leaking, man. And, you know, you might see certain people that remember from back in them days in the comment section to confirm what I'm saying, right? But listen, man, when I was in Vegas, rewind to, I think it was earlier that year. You know, I had lost everything, lost my wardrobe, everything, right? So I got on my LA shit, man. I go to the swap meet because I gotta have a change of clothes. I can't get suited and booted right now because I ain't got no game. I ain't got no 304s, right? I'm holeless and doleless. You know, pimping on a budget. So I go to the swap meet, man, and I get like 5 pairs of khakis, khaki shorts, a white pair, the regular khaki color, a black pair, a red pair, a blue pair, whatever, green pair, whatever, right? I get like 5 pairs of those. I get 5 pro clubs, the crispy pro clubs. I get a green one, a red one, a blue one, white one, black one, whatever colors. I get 5 of each. So 5 pro clubs, 5 Dickie shorts, and 5 Chuck Taylors, right? You would have thought Freeze was Pyru the way I was dressing back then, right? But my mindset was like, I gotta at least have change of clothes, right? So I worked with what I had to be able to have some changes of clothes till I could, come up, right? So when I go to Dallas Gentlemen's Club, the first time was on a Friday night, right? I walk over there, I got the crispy green pro club, the white khaki shorts with the green Chuck Taylors, right? And see, probably nowadays DGs probably won't let you come in like that, but back then, usually when you got a plain shirt on, a lot of clubs won't let you in, but they let me in, right? So I'm in there campaigning, right? And I get action at this nice little chocolate thing, man. Gorgeous little chick, fresh 19 years old, man. I get action at her, right? We just gonna call her K. So K just started dancing maybe like a few weeks before this, right? And K is a student at Texas A&M down in Corpus Christi, right? And K is born and raised Fort Worth, Texas, right? So Fort Worth ain't that far from Dallas. So she was on a break, I suppose, while she was dancing, because this was like the summertime, right? So towards the end of the summer, now she was scheduled to get ready to go back to school, but a pimp rerouted her plans because I ended up coming up with her, right? And see, this is what I could say now as a more mature man, right? Back then, that's something that I was proud of, right? Because you would hear pimps brag about shit like that, like, yeah, man, I made the bitch quit school, come get with my pimping. Yeah, man, I made her do this and do that. I made her quit her job to, she was a school teacher, man, and I knocked her from the school campus and made her, get home from my pimping. Well, this is something that I was proud of back then, but when I looked at it in retrospect, man, I wasn't proud of what I did as far as, taking her away from her education, right? But needless to say, this is 2009 Freeze, super duper pimping, not giving a damn about nothing but my pimping. So like I said, I go in there Friday night, I see her, get action at her, and she didn't make I think that Friday night she didn't make no money, and they was checking it in there too. This is where where I fulfilled a need for her. She was in need of some game, and I just so happened to have game, right? So this is where I fulfilled a need, right? Now the second night, Saturday night, she only make $24. I'll never forget that. So, I was still working at her at the time, right? So, I'm chipping away, and this is where me fulfilling the need comes in, right? So the DJ at the club is digging on her, right? The DJ is a trick, but she don't really know how to go about everything, right? So of course, Freeze, empowers her with this game. Next thing you know, the DJ making contributions, to the pimping through the 304, right? So, we end up, moving on that, and the DJ, funded the campaign. And once she got a decent amount of money off the DJ, after breaking on him numerous times, we we end up going to California, right? And my partner who had came there with me, like I said, he knocked something right before I knocked her. I think I ended up knocking her maybe probably like 2 or 3 days after he knocked the one off Moco's space, right? So, you know, once he got a decent amount up out of her and I got a decent amount up out of her, we all jumped on a plane together, flew to LA, and we go to Sepulveda, right? And before we go to Sepulveda, we now mind you, as my brother Andre Taylor has taught for a long time, a well-placed truth is better than a lie, right? So I never lied to the chick, but when she agreed to come to California with me, she was like, you know, I don't want to walk the streets, I don't want to work the track, I don't want to work the blade, I just want to dance, and I'll try the internet too, because at this point she ain't never, you know, did nothing outside the club. She was like, I'm willing to try the internet too. I said, okay, cool, you know, you can do what you want to do. But see, a pimp got a way of opening the chick's eyes, right? There's gonna be some free game for some of y'all, right? But hey, it is what it is, right? So I get a room on Sunset when we first get to LA. I get a room on Sunset, right? And 7-Eleven is directly across the street from the room. So little do she know, Sunset is the blade. So I say, yeah, baby, why don't you go over there across the street, man, and get us some drinks, you know, so we'll have something to drink in the room, right? Okay, cool. So this is her first time any type of experience on a blade anywhere, right? She don't even know she on the blade, but she walks across the street, gets the drinks, and she comes back to the room, and she's like, wow, it's crazy. She's like, I didn't know LA was like this. I walked to the store, just me going across the street to the store. I had, you know, a bunch of tricks pulling up on me trying to date me, but you know, I didn't know what to do. I would have did it, but I didn't know what to do. And so that right there opened her eyes. It made it not seem so horrific like a lot of chicks believe the blade is who've never been to the blade. You know, they hear all these horror stories in the news and these movies and documentaries and shit like that, and they don't really know 304s that be on the blade. And you know, nowadays they watch Soft White Underbelly and them chicks be looking busted and disgusted and dope fiend out and all of that, you know, not the best representation of the game. So one way or another, a lot of chicks be having a bad outlook on the blade. But her touching her feet down over there and seeing it firsthand, it didn't seem so scary. So now she got an open mind to the blade, right? So, but that wasn't the first place I put her down. First place I put her down was that Sepulveda, right? And, you know, I know a lot of people, you know, tell these magnificent stories like, yeah, man, first date she hit for, you know, 100,000, you know what I mean? Then she went and broke the trick for a spaceship, you know what I mean? He worked for NASA, man, and he, you know, gave the bitch a spaceship and all that, man. Nah, man, we keeps it real around here, right? So I take her to Sepulveda. Her very first date was for 200, right? But that struck first blood, and it was on from there, you dig? Now we're gonna cut the story a little short, because part 2 is a story that has to do with the same young lady, but it's a different topic, right? So we're gonna cut the story short right there, but let that marinate on your mind one time, you dig? Freeze is it, and my history ain't no mystery, man. Go ahead, put some of this good old love in your body like so. And of course, as always, long live the incomparable Sinful to P. We out. Dig this.
Yeah.
I've been stroking relentless to get waves like this. I spoke into existence for her to pay like this. In the trenches on a day like this, traffic consistent, and so I have to insist that she relay my chips. It's a trap with her name on it and my game on it. Any forces coming against this game, shame on it. Standing on my pimpin' from day one and remain on it. It carried me through every terrain and I gained on it. Experience joy and pain on it, sustained on it.
But getting back to this game that I never left.
Hey, yeah, where you been?